What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh. This is Native Nomads, and today we're going to be discussing the steps I took and exactly what I've done to take my 2022 Subaru Outback Wilderness and make it as stealth as possible. Now, before we get started today, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video and every video you will see here on the channel, and that is Adventure Rig Shop. AdventureRigShop.com is where you can purchase all the parts that you may be interested in for your Subaru Outback Wilderness. I will put the link in the description as well as a discount code to save 5% on your next purchase for anything Subaru Outback Wilderness related. Now, with all that out of the way, I want to discuss the stealth portion. If you've been around the channel for a while, or maybe this is the first video you've ever came by and watched, and if this is the first video you've ever watched, I would encourage you to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you could come along for all of our adventures. Subaru is only some of the stuff we do, but I will leave it up to you to dig through the channel and find some other interesting things that you may like. But that said, I have been building this Subaru Outback Wilderness for the last coming up on 2 years. I got this brand new when they first rolled them out. I ordered it and it came in, and immediately I had started doing stuff to it. I had intentions of making this a extremely over-the-top capable vehicle that I could overland with pretty much as my primary overland vehicle. Well, as things have changed, time has passed. We now have a Mercedes Sprinter van that we travel in as a family. We just purchased the Lexus GX 460 that we're currently in the process of building. If you're interested in those two vehicles, there will be a lot of that on the channel as well for everybody who is new. But I wanted to build something that was probably, in my mind, what made the most sense at the time. But as time has gone on, I have realized that this vehicle is only so capable, and it's only going to get me to so many places, and that's totally fine because it gets me there with good gas mileage. It gets me there comfortably, but it is not going to be the vehicle for you or for myself that's going to tackle the most difficult trails or take me as far out into the middle of nowhere that I may want to go sometimes. Insert the Lexus GX 460. That will be our primary, like, hardcore off-road, way out in the middle of nowhere vehicle. But the Subaru Outback Wilderness has checked so many boxes for us. And I recklessly said on a recent video that I'm going to be getting a 2024 Outback Wilderness. If you have not seen the 10 things that you need to know about the Subaru Outback Wilderness video for the 2024 model year, I will put that up here for you to check out because there's a lot of information in that video that may be interesting to you if you're considering getting a 2024. Well, I made the mistake of saying, hey, I'm getting a 2024 Outback Wilderness, and I need to walk that back. I'm not getting a 2024 Outback Wilderness, and there's a few reasons why, and that's what this video is primarily going to be about. So one of the biggest reasons for me wanting to get a 2024 was because I kind of wanted to take it back to the basics. This vehicle, the 2022 that I have a Prinsu roof rack. We have a rigged spare tire carrier. We have an auxiliary battery system underneath the back platform area. We have an onboard air compressor, auxiliary light controller, and all of those things that I'm talking about. I will put links to those specific parts in the description, and you can go shop those parts if it's things that you're interested in. But I had realized after a year and a half of ownership that that was just a lot of unnecessary stuff. With the Prinsu rack, I had 2 Roam boxes up top. I had my Max Tracks, all of this stuff, right? And I think I'm speaking for myself, but this may resonate with you. I think a lot of people buy a lot of stuff that they never use. I've done it. I've done it recently, and I don't know if I'm just getting old. I'm not really sure what it is, but I want to get back to the basics. I want to get back to what is absolutely necessary. The Outback Wilderness for us as a family has taken us to a lot of places, but at the end of the day, it is not going to be the vehicle that we choose out of our 3 vehicles to take us as far into the backcountry or as far off the beaten path as, say, the Lexus GX 460. And the reason is because it's just not as capable of the Lexus, and that's fine. But I had all of this stuff attached to it. The Rome boxes, the spare tire carrier, and everything that was just killing gas mileage. And I wanted to take it back to the basics. I wanted to get back to just a fully functioning, well-organized, very clean car. And that is what we've done. So I have removed the Rome boxes off of the roof rack of the Subaru Outback Wilderness, and those 2 Rome boxes are for sale. If you're interested in Rome boxes or you want to buy some and you don't want to pay $400 a piece, please leave a comment, send us a message on Instagram or an email, and we would love to figure out a way to get these Rome boxes to you. It's just they sit in my garage now, and I need to get rid of them. On the back of the vehicle, another thing that was really killing us was the rigged Ultra Swing, the spare tire carrier. That thing is an absolute savage. It's well built. It has done everything that I needed it to do, but it's heavy and it costs us money when we're traveling extremely long distances. This last trip I was just on, which I filmed a video out in Moab for, but accidentally reformatted my memory card, lost all of the footage. We were just really beating the heck out of the Outback Wilderness, trying to take it on some tough Jeep trails that we were unsuccessful on, but it was still entertaining. That footage is gone, so I apologize. But this vehicle, the Outback Wilderness, is not really meant for that stuff. And with all of these extra components and that spare tire carrier, it was just weighing us down. So I have 245, 65, 17 BF Goodrich KO2 tires on the vehicle. That is already a lot of weight, and it's not the most economical tire to have on your Subaru Outback Wilderness, but I was able to take all of the stuff off of my rigged Ultra Swing, remove the rigged Ultra Swing, take the spare tire, remove the auxiliary battery system that I had, as well as the air compressor out of the spare tire well in the rear of the Outback Wilderness, and I was able to get my 245, 65, 17 tire with rim to fit in that space. Now, I had to take all the air out, and it doesn't sit flat. It has a slight incline on it, but the piece of carpeting that goes over top of it, everything fits perfectly, so if I need to access my spare tire, I can. Again, I was really pushing this car as I was building it to be something that I was hopeful that it could be, but it's just not capable of that without pushing the limits even further. And I would rather just use a vehicle that's more suited for those types of trails and those types of experiences versus spending my time beating the crap out of my car trying to get it to go somewhere that it's not necessarily meant to go. So now that that backup battery system is gone, so I had a Keyline, I believe is what it's called. It was a Keyline fuse system that allowed me to run an auxiliary battery, which is the same as my primary battery, in the back of the vehicle. And I ran a power and a ground back there, and it would charge off of my alternator essentially. And then I was able to use the USBs and the cigarette lighter ports that I had put in the rear of the vehicle to charge my devices, to run my refrigerator, things like that. Well, I took that whole system out because, again, it's just too much going on. There's just too much going on in the back of the car, and it's not simple. It really took a lot for me to make all of that work, and I had to tear the car apart and run big gauge wire all the way back there. And quite honestly, there wasn't much of a purpose for me to do that. So I took out the spare battery. I took out the Keyline, I don't know, auxiliary battery system. I took all that out. And what I did is, as I was pulling that out, I ran some wire back to the back to the cigarette lighters and cigarette lighter outlet and the USBs, and I just ran that directly off my main battery. Now, obviously, I have to pay attention to that now a lot more than I did in the past because draining your main battery is more possible than draining your secondary battery, but I have a voltmeter in my car. I can check the voltage of my main battery at any time that I need to do so. But again, that system that I have now is far more simple. And there's not all these components and wires running everywhere and fuse boxes and relays. There's none of that. It's just a wire that is an inline fuse wire that runs all the way back to my setup. I can plug my power station into that and pull 100 watts out of the car into my power station, charge my power station while I'm running my fridge off my power station. My fridge uses about 30 to 60 watts depending upon how much power it needs or how hot it is, or if it's just starting its cycle. So I'm always running a net surplus. So I can always maintain charge on my battery system or my battery station, my Blue Eddy EB3A, and then I can run the power off of that into my refrigerator and I can charge my devices. It's just so much simpler. It's so much simpler than having an auxiliary battery system, and you got all of this stuff going on, and that's all part of this going stealth thing. The boxes coming off the top, the rigged spare tire carrier, removing that. If you guys are new and you have not seen my video previously that I did, I was getting 16.8 or 17.8 miles per gallon for driving my Subaru Outback Wilderness, which was just demoralizing. But now, just with taking those two things off, the two boxes and the spare tire carrier, I'm all the way back up to 21. So I'm already getting 3.5 miles per gallon, almost more than I was by having those components attached to the vehicle. And quite honestly, I used the boxes a lot more than I thought I would. But it's just, I'm going to have to figure out a different way, because it's not worth driving around and losing gas mileage. Over 50,000 miles, losing 3 miles for every gallon is a lot. So I wanted to make it simpler for myself. I wanted to make this car more sleek, more slim, and able to get me where I need to go, but it's not going to be the one that takes me way, way, way deep into the middle of nowhere. Now, the compressor that I took out of the back, all I did was swap that up front, and I did use the CA-tuned compressor mount to do that. I will put the link to all of these products that we're talking about. If you're interested in purchasing them, they will be in the description. It helps the channel out tremendously if you use those links to purchase, but if you find a deal better somewhere else, I don't care. That's totally fine. Any support that you give us is met with extreme gratitude. Now, I removed that compressor from in the back and I put it up front, and this, again, the system is just easier. I don't have a bunch of wire running to the back. It's a lot easier to install, and if there's any problems or I need to air up, all I have to do is pop my hood. I was never a fan of having a compressor underneath the hood because I was nervous about heat sink, or I was nervous that it was just going to be hot and it wouldn't work properly. But after the research I've done, and some people may refute this, but there is no problem having your compressor underneath your hood. And when people bring up heat sink and is it going to lose power, maybe. I don't know the truth to that question, but the point is you're not going to notice. If it takes you a minute and 10 seconds versus 50 seconds to pump up one of your tires, you're not going to notice that. You may say you notice that, and you may bring up all of these reasons why you shouldn't do something, but reality is that you probably don't use your compressor that much anyways, so I really wouldn't be concerned with the 20 seconds per tire. Nets you out at 80 seconds. You have the time to spare. But it's simple. It's a very simple install. It's a very simple design. It allows me to run my wires directly to my battery. If there's any issues, I have a 5-foot run that I need to check to diagnose a problem. That's it. I don't have to try to fish through the entire vehicle and all the way back to the back. Now, I know that this may not resonate with everyone, because not everyone attempts to build their vehicle the way that I was building my vehicle, and that's totally fine. But I have come to the light and understanding that this vehicle has so many attributes that I can't get rid of it. It is a great daily driver. It gets incredible gas mileage for me because I come from big trucks and lifted vehicles. So getting 11 or 12 miles to the gallon is like just another day in the life. But this vehicle does so many things for us and does so many things very, very well, especially from a photography perspective. I like to go out and shoot storms, for example, and or landscape photography, and I can get anywhere that I need to get to in this vehicle. It is the perfect photographer's vehicle. If this is something that's something that you do, and maybe you're trying to weigh your options, there is no better vehicle for a photographer than this, because you have all the amenities that you need, especially with the 2024. And it's comfortable, it's spacious, it can carry a ton of gear, and it'll get you exactly where you want to go. You're just going to have to hike in, which you would have to do anyways, no matter what vehicle it was to get you there, but you're going to enjoy 22 or 23 miles to the gallon on the way home. So another thing that I've been looking at is my lighting setup. So I have my A-pillar lights as well as the light bar. And I would say, I'm trying to think here, the light bar has probably been used more than the A-pillar mounts, which are the hood lights. The hood lights are great, and I enjoy them because they have been extremely helpful, especially on this latest storm chase. But that light bar has been used a ton, and it lights up the road for me while I'm flying down these dark roads or flying down a trail. You probably shouldn't be flying down a trail, but we all do it sometimes. But the lighting system is something I'm looking to change as well, because I don't really need the A-pillar lights, and it takes away, in my opinion, from it being stealth with those A-pillar lights. I really think I can get away with just the light bar, but I have not made the determination on if I'm going to do away with those completely or not. Now, we also have the Ironman lift. So this is one of the big reasons why I was considering stepping up to a 2024 Outback Wilderness. But then I have been driving the vehicle with all of these things removed, and it's just absolutely fantastic. It drives superb. I love it. And I'm not going to get rid of it because I've invested a lot of time and money, and quite honestly, I had a 3-year loan on this car, and I'm almost to the point to where the car is going to be paid off soon, and it only has 28,000 miles. Now, the Ironman suspension, I have Spec C in the rear and medium load in the front. Again, if you're looking to purchase Ironman suspension, the link will be in the description, and you can purchase those directly from Adventure Rig Shop, and you can get whatever configuration that you wish to get. I went with the Spec C because I knew I had a lot of weight in the rear. We were towing a trailer at the time, a small teardrop, and I had the rigged Ultra Swing, which is very easily 150 pounds with a spare tire attached to it. So I had all of these things in the rear, and I was nervous that when I removed them that the ride was going to be horrendous. Now, I will say that it is not the most comfortable. It is not the plush ride that you get when you have the stock suspension, and I wish, honestly, I never would have lifted it, but I did, so I'm kind of stuck there because I no longer have the original suspension. So that was a big motivator for me possibly getting a 2024 Outback Wilderness. But I'm going to be honest. I've been driving it, and it's super comfortable, and I love it. I've cleaned it. I've taken everything off of it. It is just very sleek, very nimble. It is. I know it's not a sports car, but that 2.4 liter turbo engine gets me where I need to go in a hurry. I really don't need anything more than that. I'm not like a speed guy. So for me, this vehicle is just, it's just impossible for me to justify going and trading this thing in to get a 2024 Outback Wilderness to do a lot of the same things that I already have done. And although I could swap parts, for what? I'm just getting a heated steering wheel and a better stereo system, which is great, and I would love to have those things, but it's not worth me making a change. So that is my, hey, this is me going stealth version. I know some people probably would do it a little bit differently, and I would love to hear your comments and your suggestions about things that you would do or you have done that maybe I have not done. I am considering removing the BFG KO2s and putting on my Nitto Nomad grapplers. They are a better street tire. They are lighter, and they still have an aggressive amount of sidewall, which means I can take them to a lot of places, but I would not feel as confident as with the BFG KO2s. That's because I come from the world of KO2s, and I just love them. I just put a brand new pair on the GX 460. I got a pair on the van. I have a pair on the Super Outback Wilderness. They're just my tire of choice. That is obviously a personal choice and a preference, but that's me going stealth. I think if you're building an Outback Wilderness, you need to really ask yourself, what in the world do I intend to do with this vehicle? Because as many things as it can do, and it does a lot of things really, really well, it cannot do a lot of things at the same time. So you just need to kind of check your motives when you're purchasing this vehicle. And again, that is just me coming to you from somebody who attempted to build this vehicle to do much more than it was ever capable of doing, and then me falling in love with this vehicle and backing it down and utilizing it for what it's actually intended for. So that's me. That's what I've done. I hope this video was helpful. If it was helpful, I would love if you would share it with somebody, or just like it and leave a comment and tell me what you think. So I'm going to get back to work. I got a lot to do today, and I will see you guys on the next one.